Hello, welcome to Books Are the New Rich. I am your host, April Sharice, and today I have the pleasure of taking space with the amazing Genesis Amaris Kemp. We will be discussing her amazing book called Chocolate Drop in America. It is a really great read for those interested in how to have diversity and inclusion in a corporate setting. Genesis, thank you for being with us today. To get started, if you would please let the listeners know exactly how have you stayed focused throughout the years and throughout the pandemic?
Is by, sharing my story and being unapologetically me, because I feel like if I don't share my story and if I don't keep the momentum going, people are going to probably wonder, okay, who is Genesis, So that's one area that I focus on. Another area that has kept me focused is legacy. And whenever I think about legacy, what that looks like for me, and it's to have a book on the market, but to have that book travel around the world. And in order for your book to travel around the world, you have to be present in the moment, and you have to continually share your story, because you don't want to just put your book out there and all of a sudden everything just stops.
Right, exactly. Did you find if you had to share this tidbit, one resource that has proven to be the most valuable in your efforts this year and that you plan to use going forward, what would it be?
Definitely my phone.
Oh,
Because everyone has their phone at their fingertips. So I feel like just being able to access the internet, being able to access my notes quickly. So if a thought pops up in my head, I like to write it down, because that's my way of holding myself accountable. Another resource that I use is, the old-fashioned pen and paper. Like I'm a writer by nature. So I definitely believe like having that tangible pen and paper in front of you keeps you accountable. And not only when you write things down, it helps you look forward to what you envision.
Yeah, I agree. I know in the age of technology, it's so much easier to, speak to text anything that you're working on, but nothing beats the old-fashioned way, like you said, of writing it down. It just seems like it really helps for you to retain it, and you can always go back and edit it. And so I just love the old-fashioned way. So I'm glad that you mentioned that tonight. So we know that during this time, everybody has seen a lot of changes in their employment, from having to work remotely or having to have, hybrid work schedule, where sometimes they'd have to go into the office and sometimes they wouldn't. Do you have conversations with people throughout the past few months who are still finding struggles, even though they're working from home, in terms of their corporate position?
So some of my colleagues that were on my team, we've talked about it a few times, because since my dad got sick back in May, I didn't go into the office since the COVID thing happened in March, where it was really picking up. I haven't been into the office since then. And I tell people, if you're going to be working from home, you definitely have to find a balance, and you have to have some type of structure, so you're not getting too lax, because you're still getting paid to do a job. So you need to make sure the basis of your job is being covered, whether or not you're in the office or at home.
That's really good. Because I know, like you said, it's so easy to just fall into the comforts of your home. And you begin to lose a little bit of that professionalism because you're home. So those are really great tips for anyone, whether you're working corporate or not, or even if you're just an entrepreneur and a creative yourself. These are some tips that you should definitely keep with you, because it's going to carry you further in the long run.
Yes. And another thing I would add to, April, is make sure that you schedule things on your calendar, because once it's on your calendar, it helps keep you accountable and on track.
That's true. That is definitely true. What is your favorite app that you use in terms of calendar? Is it Gmail or is it a different app?
Definitely Gmail, because it syncs across the board. Yeah. And I was trying to get into Calendly. I think that's how you say it. But I totally forget to schedule my own stuff on Calendly. So I was like, okay, I prefer when I'm doing stuff like in a collaboration, like if other people send me their Calendly, then I sync that with my Gmail.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Calendly does make it very easy. I do use both as well, Calendly as well as the Gmail app. But I love the simplicity of Calendly, and I'm still learning, but I love the simplicity of it and how it does sync everything with, Gmail. I should probably find out if it kind of integrates with other calendar apps as well, just in case. But I know it does wonders for me for Gmail. So I'm glad to know that. If there was someone else who was new to the workforce in corporate America, what would you share with them if you had an opportunity to kind of be a part of their onboarding process?
I will definitely encourage them to learn the ins and out about the company. Don't allow anyone to place limitations on you. Make sure you're willing to overcome barriers and be your own advocate, especially when you're working in a corporate sector. I feel like sometimes they want you to be a certain way, and that way may not necessarily align with your morals and values. So sometimes when we're, fresh meat to a company, we try to appease other people, but then in the process, we end up losing ourselves.
Yeah, definitely agree. Those are really great tips. I think that that's something that we probably should consider having, for new people when they're coming on, because you feel once you start, you get so much information thrown at you at once. Once you're first starting at a corporate position, that sometimes you do need a friendly face or some friendly advice to kind of explain to you what you need to take away first, before or as you're getting familiar with some of the other functions and systems of the company. Is this something that you offer on the side?
It's something that I may look into, especially because I will definitely be pivoting in February, because I was just told on Tuesday that my company is laying me off after 7.5 years. So I am definitely, looking forward to new opportunities, and I definitely want to help other people navigate, the beast of corporate America, because if you really don't know the games, or if you really don't want to play politics, then it's either you're going to sink or you're going to swim. But I definitely want to encourage people out there who are listening that no matter what the company says about you, that doesn't mean that, that is defining you, or you have to remain in confinement.
Yeah, perfect. And for those listeners who are just joining us, I want to have you explain a little bit about your book again, just so that they can know exactly what you're offering and what your content is about.
So my book, Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace, despite the name being controversial, the book is really, a glimpse of what inclusion and diversity should be like. It will inspire, motivate, and encourage you to overcome the fear that you may have. And when I say fear, I consider fear as false evidence appearing real, and it would unlock some key tools that you need to step outside of your comfort zone. It will push you to want to speak up and advocate for yourself, especially if you have been in a position where that you have been there way too long. You have proven yourself time and time again, and you definitely want to accelerate with the company, but you're not getting the opportunities to. So I encourage people, don't just sit back and just take what they tell you, but push until you see something happen in your favor. And there is a way you can go about doing that respectfully. I also talk about my trials and tribulations that I encountered while working for this particular oil and gas company for the past 7 years. It'll be 7.5 years whenever I leave in February after the layoff. But I got to where I am by really, advocating for myself and taking matters into my own hand and really learning about what the company had to offer. And that's when I found out about tuition reimbursement. I started networking outside of my group, because it's not important about who you know, but who knows you is important as well, because who knows you can also vouch for you.
Right. That's true.
And I have a reflection section in the book, because I think reflection is so important, as well as feedback, because feedback is a gift and that helps you become a better person. So at the end of the book, there's a reflection quote section where it will give the reader some time to reflect on some quotes that I came up with. And I hope it encourages them to create their own reflection as well. And then I have a discovery exercise in the book that's titled, Who Am I? Because so many times in life, I find that people always ask you, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? But they never even take time to ask you, who do you want to be when you grow up? And I think the who is more profound than the what.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they always always hear that quote that was like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So that is definitely true. Just making sure, you have the right energies and the right people around you and the people who can really help influence your career in whatever industry that is, just making sure you're well connected. So that's really great. And sticking with the publishing of your book, what was your journey like? Did you go the traditional route to publish or did you self-publish?
I went the traditional route, and I actually ended up getting free publishing because at the time when I was thinking about writing my book, I really didn't know how to go about it, but I ran into another author and she gave me her publisher's information, and it just so happened that the timing was just so epic that her publisher was running a competition for new authors, and I entered and won first place.
Oh, wow. So what all did that entail? Did you have to submit, or did you submit information on your current book that you have published now?
Yes, I did. I submitted the few sentences. Well, maybe I think it turned into a paragraph or two. I submitted the paragraph or two, so I had to elaborate on the 3 sentences that I originally wrote down. I ended up writing my whole book after that, after I had won, and I designed the cover of my book myself. So I told them what I wanted the cover to look like, and I submitted that to a graphic artist who worked with me on perfecting the cover, because I definitely wanted the cover to represent inclusion and diversity. So if you look at the front of my book, you'll see the background is blue, but there's a world in the background to let people know that these issues don't just happen in America, but they can happen worldwide. And then as far as industry professionals, I have someone in the construction industry, someone in the medical industry, finance, and so forth, because I want to let people know that, systemic racism as well as systemic issues happen in all industries across the board. But it's important for us to, be present and talk about the struggles that we endured and come together as a society.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys really collectively put some thought into the cover artwork, or was it all your input?
It was definitely all my input.
Okay, that's great. Because I think a lot of times, especially with some of the books coming out now, that I've noticed is that some of the cover art is very generic. And I know, people buy things that they're drawn to. So it's really great to hear that, you put some thought into it and you want it to resonate with a broad audience and, instead of just a selective one. So I'm really, really glad to hear that. For an author who has already published the book, they're listening now, they're taking some of your marketing tidbits away. They may be looking to get featured on some sites. And I know that this is something that you have already done. I've had a chance to listen in on a couple of your interviews that you were featured on. And I would just like, if you don't mind, to share with them what that process is like to get featured for interviews, either on podcasts or in print, online, or in physical copies. So I'll let you take it from here.
So some of the things that I have been doing, especially being so new in the author world, is I've been reaching out to people and just being my authentic self and, pitching to them, hey, I'm an author. I wrote this book. Some of my topics I could talk about are inclusion and diversity, being uniquely you, being who you want to be versus what they want you to be. And I talk about other things that I'm passionate about. And I said, if you're interested, please reach out to me, or let's set up some time to do like a virtual meet and greet or coffee chat. And that has really worked for me. And I've just really been putting myself out there and being unapologetically me and just seeing, what bites. And another thing that I try to do is every now and then I'll go on Facebook and do a live and, talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So people could, really get to know, okay, who's Genesis Amaris Kemp and like, what does she stand for? And I think whenever you're present in front of people and people could get to see you, in your natural aspect, they're going to be drawn to you.
Yeah, that is true too. Because I know a lot of times I get people who are uncomfortable going live, or are just not, they feel like they're not technically savvy to go and start a story. And can you walk someone through that process to just put fears aside and the simplicity of actually going live?
Sure. So whenever you go live, just imagine if you were somewhere exotic, or imagine you being in your favorite place, whether it's, a favorite vacation spot, or whether it's somewhere that, calms you and brings you down to that soothing place, and you just have, peace that, surpasses all things, and you just feel at one with yourself. So if you could picture that, then it will take away the fears of maybe speaking in front of people, or the fears of, okay, okay, what are people going to say about me? Are they going to receive my message? And have fun with it, smile, laugh, and that energy is going to radiate with you as you go live.
That is true. So I'm just starting out. I'm going to put your tidbits into place so that I can go live and start my story next week. Should I do a virtual background or should I not?
Say a virtual background.
Okay. Just to be safe, right?
Yeah, or whatever you're feeling at the moment,
Is it something that you would say would be easy for a first timer to do, to set up the virtual background?
If they know a little bit about technology like Zoom makes it very easy because there's an option at the bottom of your screen, like where you could set up a virtual background. And I think that's easy peasy. But if you're not, too familiar with it and you don't want to bring on any extra stress, then just do, a regular background. Like just find a place wherever you're recording and make sure the wall is blank, free from distractions or free from anything that may be biased, and then just go for it. You have nothing to lose, because sometimes I feel like when we are the scaredest is when we're actually producing some of our greatest works, because we're always going to be ourselves' biggest critic.
That is true. We definitely are. So before I wrap up with you and let you go, can you let everyone know what is next for you and where can they find more information about you and your book?
Cool. So I am on Facebook as Genesis. That's Genesis. Amaris, Amaris. Last name Kemp, Kemp. I have a book page on there as well. It's under Chocolate Drop in Corporate America. I am available via email, which is genesisamarisKemp@gmail.com. My book is available for purchase on the Amazon platform. So I have a paperback copy, which is $13. So very inexpensive. So it's almost like the price that you would pay for 2 coffees at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever your choice is, or a fast food meal. And I have a Kindle version available as well for $2.99. And if you really want a personal touch to your book, then you could always reach out to me and buy the book from me wholesale for the same price. And I can, write a personalized message in your book for you. So you can be like, yeah, Genesis signed my book. And, I always try to personalize every book that I sign, because I want someone to have something tangible and something that's, meaningful, that speaks to them. And you never know, the message I write to you may be the message that you needed to read and hear at the time.
Exactly. That's beautiful. And what does 2021 have for you in terms of being an author?
I definitely want to travel with the book, do some book signing once this whole COVID beast subsides and the numbers go down. I definitely want to hook up with some people so I could turn my book into maybe a motion film, because I definitely know that some people aren't readers and they prefer to watch a movie first, then read the book. So that's something that I'm shooting for. And then to all you people out there, I just want to let you know the book is a quick read. It's only 102 pages.
Yeah, 100. It is very quick and packed full of so much great information. If you know someone in the corporate world, please share Genesis information for all of her social media tags, as well as where they can find the book. It will serve them very well, I'm sure. So, Genesis, I want to thank you again for sharing space with me this evening. It has been amazing to learn so much about how to navigate being in the corporate world, especially for me, personally being a woman and a woman of color. So thank you so much for sharing space and discussing your book with us today.
Pleasure, April, and thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform.